James paused, a tray of empty mugs trembling slightly in his hands as the sound drifted through the small cafe. It was light, musical, and hauntingly familiar. The kind of laugh that once pulled him out of darkness, back when life was easier, before everything fell apart. He turned slowly, and there she was, sitting by the window, sunlight spilling over her like a halo. Emma Carter, his first love, the girl he'd once promised forever to. He didn't recognize her right away, not completely. Her clothes screamed power and success, her posture confident and poised. But her eyes, those warm hazel eyes, were still the same. She was laughing with someone across the table, unaware that a struggling single dad behind the counter had just stopped breathing. The years hadn't been kind to James. He looked older than 32, with tired eyes and calloused hands that smelled faintly of coffee and detergent. Working 2 jobs to raise his 6-year-old daughter Lily alone after his wife walked out had worn him down. But there was still something steady in him, something that refused to give up, no matter how many times life knocked him down. And as he stood there, heart pounding, watching Emma laugh, memories came flooding back. Their teenage dreams, late night talks, promises whispered under the stars. She had left town after college, chasing a career. He'd stayed behind, helping his sick father run the family repair shop until life turned upside down. They'd lost touch, like 2 trains on different tracks, destined to never cross again. Until now, he quickly turned away when she glanced up, pretending to wipe the counter. The last thing he wanted was pity. The single dad who served coffee and struggled to pay rent didn't belong in her world anymore. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. When Emma walked up to the counter later, the cafe had quieted down. 1 cappuccino to go, she said, her voice smooth and calm. Then she looked at him, and froze. James, he smiled awkwardly, wiping his hands on his apron.
Hey, Emma. Long time. Her lips parted,
shock flickering across her face. I can't believe it's you. He nodded, forcing a smile. Yes, small world, huh? She studied him silently, taking in the faded name tag, the rough hands, the tired eyes. The James she knew had been full of fire, ambitious, determined, always dreaming big. This man looked like someone who had weathered storms. They talked briefly, small talk, surface-level words. But underneath, emotions churned. She wanted to ask what happened. It's where life had taken him. He wanted to ask why she'd never called. But both swallowed their questions, hiding behind polite smiles. Before leaving, she placed her business card on the counter. If you ever want to catch up, I'd love to talk. He nodded, slipping the card into his pocket. Sure. Maybe. But he didn't call, because people like her didn't belong in his world anymore. The next morning, Lily ran to him, holding a small drawing.
Daddy, it's us! You and me in our dream house!
He smiled, his heart aching. That's beautiful, sweetheart. Someday we'll live there, right? She asked, eyes hopeful. He hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, someday. Later, as he left for his night shift, he pulled Emma's card out again. The golden letters gleamed faintly under the streetlight. Emma Carter, CEO, Horizon Innovations. He exhaled, a mix of pride and pain filling his chest. She had made it. Really made it. A week later, she walked into the cafe again, this time deliberately. She waited until he was free, then said softly, "Can we talk?" They sat in the corner booth. The silence between them was heavy, filled with years of unspoken words. I heard about your dad, she began. I'm sorry, James. He was a good man. Yeah, he murmured. He was. And your daughter Lily, right? He nodded, smiling faintly. She's everything. She hesitated. You're doing all this alone? Been that way for a while, he said quietly. But we manage. Her heart twisted. She'd known success, luxury, recognition, but not this kind of quiet strength. You always were the strongest person I knew, she whispered. He laughed softly. Westlife had to test that theory. Then she said something that changed everything. I've been looking for someone to manage our new local branch. Someone I can trust. You were always great with people, responsible, honest. I'd like you to consider it. He blinked in disbelief. Emma, I can't. Yes, you can, she said firmly. You deserve more than this, James. You just forgot how capable you are. Days turned into weeks. Against his own doubt, he accepted the job. It wasn't easy, balancing Lily, work, and the fear of stepping into a world that once felt out of reach. But Emma believed in him. And slowly, he began to believe again, too. So they worked together closely, late nights, shared coffees, quiet laughter. The old connection rekindled, not as the nada of a love of youth, but something deeper, something built on understanding, on scars and strength. One evening, as they left the office, Lily ran up to Emma, holding flowers. Daddy says you're his angel, she said innocently. Emma smiled, her eyes softening. He's mine too? James froze, watching the woman who had once been his dream, now standing beside the little girl who was his world. The past and present, finally at peace. He took a deep breath, looking at Emma. You didn't have to save me. She shook her head gently. I didn't. You saved yourself. I just reminded you who you were. He smiled, eyes glistening. Still thank you. As the three of them walked down the quiet street, hand in hand, the cafe lights flickered behind them, just like the first day he saw her again. Only this time, he wasn't the man who'd lost everything. He was the man who found it all back, the strength, the hope, and maybe love. And for the first time in years, James looked at the future not with fear, but with faith, because sometimes life gives you a second chance, not to start over, but to continue where love left off.